This is the Talk There Issues, and you're with me, Memory Banda. We are at Zaluso Studio, and today we'll be discussing the topic of sexual reproductive health and rights and the impact it has on young people. And today I'm joined by Chims and Weston, and they are remarkable young people that are doing a lot of work on raising awareness to our fellow young people on issues of sexual reproductive health and rights. Weston is an activist and works with Youth Wave, and Chim is a team leader from She Decides Malawi. Welcome, guys.
Thank you.
When it comes to issues of sexual reproductive health and rights, this is a broad topic. And I would like you, Chim, to explain what do we mean when we talk about sexual reproductive health and rights?
Thank you so much, Memory, for having us. I'm very excited to be here.
Thank you.
So I think contrary to popular belief, sexual reproductive health and rights is not just about your physical health, it's also about your mental health and social well-being. I think that's mainly it, right, Weston?
Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah, so basically, I feel like a lot of people confused when it comes to SRH. They think, oh, it's just about contraceptives, for example.
Yes.
So I want you to explain, like, what other services can young people access in a health facility when it comes to SRH?
So under SRHR, young people should be able to access different universal health cares. Surprisingly, safe abortion is one of them. Mm-hmm. People living with HIV should also be able to access information, medication. Young people should also be able to access information and other services other than contraceptives.
Yeah, so it's quite intense.
Yes.
And you know how when you go into the community, a young person cannot go to a health center and get condoms.
Yes.
You can't get RUP because those are associated with married people. Why is that? Maybe any one of you can jump in. Weston?
Yeah. I think it's associated with the cultural beliefs and religious. Mm-hmm. Young people may think like they can't access some family planning services, contraceptives like RUP. Like they are not adults. It is regarded as only adults can access the contraceptives. So it's a belief that has been there and is also hindering young people to access contraceptives.
Yeah, so the big question is, why do young people need contraceptives? Why do young people need the SRH package, for example? Why do they need this information?
I think just to add on to what Weston is saying, because in our culture, comprehensive sexuality education has always been so secretive, right? And I think it's necessary for young people to have all the information that they need to make an informed decision. For example, if young people are engaging in sexual activities, if they know that they need to access contraceptives, then we can make sure that maybe a lot of early unintended pregnancies are prevented. Mm-hmm. Young people are also protecting themselves from diseases. So in order to make informed decisions about your life, I think it's important to have access to all the information. I mean, when you're buying a new car, you check on the internet, what are the particulars of this car in order for you to make an informed decision. Mm-hmm. So I think that's one of the main reasons why young people need to have access to contraceptives and such information.
Yeah,
and most of the young people, they're in a stage where they are still exploring, they are still experiencing the potential of their bodies. So they might engage in risky behavior, and this is the reality on the ground.
Yes.
So they really need.
And we have to understand that 10-year-olds get to have sex.
Yeah.
They do, like 11-year-olds, and that's why it's actually manifested where you see 11-year-old is pregnant, meaning that young people are actually having sex at such a tender age.
Yeah. So for healthy transition from childhood to adulthood, they need these services, and they need to make sure that the services are available and young people are able to access the services.
Yeah. So what is the current situation in terms of SRH services delivery on the ground? Like, what's the situation like?
Yeah, like on the ground now, with the current state of global pandemic COVID-19, this one has also affected the delivery of services on the ground. It's affecting to already straining health system because of several reasons. Everyone now, the government and even the partners want like a way to get out of this pandemic. So there's much focus to fight against the pandemic. giving less focus to SRHR delivery.
Yeah.
This is an example, for instance, in most of the health centers. There are already few health workers, and they are now joining the fight. So this was also stretching the capacity of them to serve the youth leaders. And also in terms of outreach. As an organization, we've conducted an assessment last year on the provision and access of services. It showed that some of the district councils banned outreaches. So outreaches is the one that are serving a lot of vulnerable young people in the rural communities. So if they ban, meaning the young people will not have an option, but exposing them to unprotected sex. And so many ways. The YCBD is on the ground. They are unable to deliver the services to fair young people with the current situation. So it's a really hectic situation, and now despite the fact that young people are still having sex, but there is a disruption of the services. So my fear is we might also create another pandemic, which is rampant of teenage pregnancy. It was manifested last year. It was manifested last year.
It's actually already worse.
On the rise.
Where one district was during 5 months registering about 7,000 plus pregnancies. So it's a crisis within a crisis. So we need to make sure that as a country we should look COVID-19. It's not as a pandemic, but it's more than health crisis. So we need to make sure that all efforts are put in.
There is a saying that says even during the pandemic right now, we can't stop delivering SRH services to young people. Because like you're solving one problem and then you are actually creating the other problem to become even way bigger. And this takes me to a point where, you know how Malawi government is a signatory to several interventions when it comes to providing comprehensive sexually protective health and integrated sexual education to young people, the Maputo, the African Union Maputo Plan, and when it comes to the international population development that was held in Cairo way back in 1994. All those protocols and that are there to serve the young people, Malawi is actually a signatory. And I would like to know, we are moving towards the Sustainable Development Goals 2030, and 2030 is actually just a decade away. And we are in 2021, meaning that we are actually already starting the 1 year, the decade, we have started the decade. How far are we? Do you think we'll get there? Do you think Malawi government will ensure that comprehensive sexual education is given to young people and awareness is raised? Are we on track? That's, you know, any of you can, that's a very big question. Are you being sarcastic by laughing like that? Like, are you trying to say the government is not really there, is not doing anything?
I think Weston and I were having this conversation earlier, you know.
Now I see where the sarcasm laugh comes from.
Definitely. And we were just saying, you know, it's interesting that in 1994, the same promises were made as the ones that were made in the previous, you know, time in 2019. So I think we have very, very, very good policies and things that we are signatory to, but now more than ever, it is time to implement. I think there is a lack of serious on...
And the SRH policy.
Exactly, exactly. I think there is a lack of serious and just a lack of urgency because, as we can see, these are issues that are mainly affecting young people. But it seems that the older generations do not want to show up for the young people and uphold and keep the promises made, because the fellow adolescents and children that are coming now are not going to hold the older people accountable. They're going to hold us accountable and say, you were there 25 years ago. What happened?
What happened? What have you done?
What have you done?
That's a big question, and I think we should take a short break, and when we come back we'll discuss more about how do we take it to the local to the Lulo. You know how it's the young people in the communities are mostly affected. And then we really need to take it up and see how we can involve young people in the communities. And we are back. Let's continue our discussion on how we can raise awareness in rural communities to meaningfully impact with knowledge on SRH to the young people. And I'll start with you, Weston. Why do you think that most young people don't find the need of going to health center facilities to seek for support or medical attention?
All right, thank you. There are a lot of reasons, and one of them, in a cultural setting, like in a community setting, where the culture is still not, like there's no supportive environment for the community to make young people go in the facility and access the services. And also, some of the reasons are the facility based, the attitude of the health workers, even the setup of the physical setup of the health facility. There's no any privacy.
And maybe just remember that, you know how when we're talking about youth-friendly healthy services, it means that there are supposed to be structures in health centers that can cater for young people. Do we have these?
They're just few.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're just
Chim?
few national.
And they're like symbols.
Yeah.
Just to say it's there, but I think maybe fulfilling the services and everything for the young people, like Weston has said, sometimes the young people will probably go there, but the attitudes of the health service workers, or not knowing actually what information, knowledge or service am I supposed to access from this corner. So they're there, but as he said, very few, just as symbols.
Just as symbols. And when you go, the structures actually devastating and all that.
Very sad.
So basically there are so many factors why young people don't find the need to go to a health center facility for them to seek medical attention or get contraceptives, for instance. So further to that, why do parents not find the need of having this kind of conversations with their children? Why don't we have that? Like, I don't want to relate with the Western culture, but I feel like we need that. Why don't we have that? Chim?
I would say that, as Weston said, sometimes our cultural setting, I think, is the main driver, as well as religion, because I think in the Malawian culture, it's normal for there to be a lot of secrecy around comprehensive sexuality education. You'll find that, for example, when maybe a young girl is hitting puberty, it'll be her auntie instead of her mother probably explaining to her, but all they'll say is, don't talk to boys, otherwise you'll get pregnant. As a young person, you take that literally. They said I shouldn't talk to them at all, otherwise I'm going to get pregnant. So you engage in risky behavior, as Weston said, without all the information that you need. So maybe you're engaging in sexual activity because you didn't have all the information to say, oh, but you need to use contraceptives, or you know, you need to protect yourselves. You end up just doing whatever you think is right. And as young people, there are a lot of myths that we believe. So I will give Weston information, he will give you information, and it's not necessarily correct.
You can have sex while standing up, you not get pregnant.
You can have sex in the water, you will not get pregnant.
And there's a manual which is, I feel like, is underutilized, parent-child communication on sexuality. I think the conversation, they need to start at the household level. To impart the young people with all the topics around sexual reproductive health, and for the young people to make informed decision about the services.
Well, okay, so there is really a lot of work that we young people, we need to take up. How do we take these kind of messages to our fellow young people? Because I feel like as young people, we have a mandate and we have a bigger way of transforming the whole system of sexually reproductive health services. How do we raise awareness on issues of SRHR?
I think we really need to empower the community youth structures with the comprehensive sexuality education. They need to understand. They need to take the message to their fellows, like the peer educators, like YCBDs. They need to have that information and reach the young people. If we empower these structures, it's easy. They are community-based, and the communities where a lot of young people are living, kind of like in Malawian setting. So if we train this youth cadre, definitely we're going to reach the and marginalize the youth in the community.
What more can be done?
I think I have to agree with Weston. I think that in order to make sure that we do create a different system, we have to start at the grassroots,
Yes,
you know.
yeah.
They always say that we have to help each other alleviate poverty. But I think if you go to a community and, as Weston is saying, train people and have them take ownership of issues, it becomes theirs and you leave a footprint there. All they'll do is just to keep on spreading the message and make sure that other young people do get the message and they are protecting themselves and making informed decisions about their lives.
Well, yeah, and when it comes to issues of SRH, they mainly affect young girls.
Yes.
And I'm looking at this, I'm just imagining you and me, Chimwemwe, and we are in the local community. What more can we do to empower young girls so that they own their bodies, so that they make the right choices about their own lives?
That's a very good question, Memory, and I like that you've brought this up. I think it goes back to the knowledge is power. So access to information is something that I strongly believe is one of the main keys to make sure that young girls and young women, adolescents particularly, know that their body is their own. For example, some people are defiled and they're raped, but they do not actually know that it is wrong. So they do not report it. Or sometimes maybe something is happening to them, but they do not know the structures, the systems, or the procedures that they have to take in order to report something. And as we've said, the stigma and not being able to talk about it. So I think that at a young age, as Weston has said, it's important to talk about comprehensive sexuality education. It's important to make sure that young women and girls know that their body is their own and somebody should not be touching them inappropriately or behaving any type of way. So just, you know, as young women and girls are growing up, letting them know that this is allowed, this is not allowed.
Yeah.
No one should touch you like this and no one should be able to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And maybe before we go further, I just remembered something very important. We have really talked about SRH in general, and I want us to touch a little bit about HIV and AIDS and how young people, especially those who are on ART treatment, are affected. Why do you think at this moment a lot of young people don't find the need to adhere to ART treatment?
Yeah, like most of the teens, they are not told why they are taking medics, like the drugs. And after realizing why am I taking these drugs, they get furious and they tend to stop taking the drugs. So I might say that there is no supportive environment indeed from the household level, community level, on how we can help the young people. For example, also in boarding school, there is a lot of stigma around HIV. So if you see your fellow peers is taking drugs, so it can't even be comfortable to take the drugs at the school because of issues of stigma.
Yes.
So it's also a big challenge where at the household level, the young people are not told and they get furious at the end of the day. Yeah.
So how more can we support them, Chim? How more can we support these young people so that they're able to adhere to ART treatment and they're able to go seek for medical attention?
I think, like Weston is saying, creating a supportive and enabling environment, you know. Obviously, HIV, when it first came about, was hectic, it was horrible, there was not that much information about it. But now also letting people living with HIV know that it's okay.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Trying to also break down the stigma, perhaps talking about HIV, ensuring that, you know, the young people also do understand that there is a reason why they need to take this medication. As Weston is saying, I can imagine I would also be very mad if I was taking medication and then years later I found out that it's because, you know, of the situation. So I think that creating a dialogue, talking about it in order to remove the stigma and creating a new normal so that the conversation does become normal.
Yeah,
I'm sure
like
that
starting the conversation while this
Exactly.
kid is young.
Exactly.
And I
Reasonable
understand that
age.
there are some health centers where the teen clubs,
Yes.
where these young adolescents, they are gone through sessions where they understand why they're taking drugs and etc. I think that's also very important.
Yes.
And they also do some follow-ups.
Yeah.
So it's really important to
Yeah.
have it, because you create a network for the teens who are
Yes.
positive. So they know the reason why am I getting this drug.
Yes.
A good support system.
Yeah.
So yes.
Perfect. So I really don't know how further can can the youths be supported? Like, I want you to give me takeaways. What do you want the government to do right now?
Right now, I think that actually the youth are the ones that hold the power and hold the key. I do understand that government does have rules, regulations that they follow, and sometimes implementation might take harder and a longer time than it actually should. The only thing that I would say from the government that I would really appreciate is, let us implement these amazing policies that you write. Let us implement all these treaties that you are signatory to.
Yeah.
Let's not be silent, and let us keep the promises that we made 25 years ago. I intend to keep the promises made at ICPD 25 years from now.
Yeah.
So I think just to say, government, please do your part. But as young people, I think that it's our time, and we have to change the narrative, change the rules, and just unlock resources.
Yes.
Although, after all, we are the future.
We are the future.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yes.
And at the same time, what do you think would be the best idealistic communication strategies that we can use to enrich issues of SRH services?
I think, just to pick off, I think that because of COVID-19, everybody has adapted to going digital. But as Weston pointed out, it is important for us to empower the young people at the grassroots and at the communities. Not everybody has access to internet or has access to Facebook or whatever it is.
Yeah.
So just making sure that we make these messages accessible to the places we know that young people go to in the communities. For example, if it's posters at the trading center, if it's using the networks that young people use at a grassroots level, you know, making sure that the message is there, but it reaches everybody, not just those that have access to the internet or newspapers.
Yeah. So basically, we can also use the locally available strategies, like continue and upgrading them.
Yes.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Anything, Weston?
Yeah, I think you also need to have to create a youth targeted messages. Young people, they need to get the message. They need to use the messages and take action. So that's the most important.
Yeah.
So empowerment should be starting at a household level, where the house should be able to give the needed information to a young person, community, and even at the district level. We should make sure that the hospital is they are providing the services to the young people, and even the other stakeholders, they are creating a needed demand for the young people to go and access the services. Yeah, so it's really an effort that everyone, it's a collective effort where everyone needs to join and make sure that the young people are getting the real information.
Awesome. You heard it, guys. It's actually all about collaboration, working together to ensure that young people are able to access SRH services, and not just SRH, integrated and comprehensive services that the young people need in the communities. And we need to work together. And at the same time, guys, don't be shy. Go to a health facility, seek for medical attention. You have one life, and it's your life, and make informed decision about your health and well-being. Until next time, you were with me, Memory Banda.